I love it.
Rolling.
All right, ready?
Yeah. You're just going to open up right there? You're going to open up from the...
right here.
Oh, there's the scoreboard down that end. Okay. Yeah. Okay, everyone quiet.
All right, you ready?
Quiet on the set.
Good afternoon and welcome to Edison High School, where this afternoon the East Brunswick High School Bears take on the J.P. Stevens Hawks for the Group 4 Central Jersey State Championship. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, and I'll be bringing you the play-by-play. And joining me this afternoon for this championship game will be, to my far right, left rather, Jimmy Allinder, reporter from the Sentinel, and Phil Hill, who's joining us for today's game. Phil, former South River High School star and former official, will be joining us in terms of bringing his expertise about the game. Let me start with Jimmy. Jimmy, East Brunswick comes in today, championship game obviously, but they lost to Colonia in their last game in a quagmire of mud and rain. What effect, if any, is that going to have on the Bears today?
Yeah, talked to Marcus Borden before the game, and he definitely feels this has been a great week of practice for East Brunswick. There's not a revenge factor in today's game, but there is a lot of emotion, John. Let's put that to rest right away. The Bears, this is their fourth meeting in 2 years. They have lost the last two, and last year we all recall very painfully, it was the 27-26 loss in the same Central Jersey Group 4 final. I can't think that coming off the loss with Colonia last week is going to mean that much. I think you can put those things aside. These are two well-conditioned football teams we're going to be seeing today, and with the Central Jersey Group 4 title at stake, I think emotion's going to play a lot to do with it, and I think they'll overcome any sort of disappointment from last week's loss. Okay, Phil, you've been following the Stevens team for a while now. They had two big wins over Neptune and Edison to get here. They're undefeated. Is complacency a problem?
You know, talking to Tony Simonelli this week, he talked a lot about distractions. Of course, he was sounding like typical coach talk at this time, but he's talking about the fact that WOR-TV had come in, and that was rather distracting to the kids, the change in the field, the SATs, people calling about all-county teams and things of that sort. So he seems to feel that his team may be somewhat distracted, but John, I tell you, I wouldn't buy it. I believe you got to believe that J.P. Stevens is ready. They've been building. They've been getting better each week, and that's the way you want to come into the championship game.
Okay, we'll see. East Brunswick comes in 8-2. J.P. Stevens is 10-0. Again, this is for the Group 4 Central Jersey State Championship, and we're about ready to go with the game. Okay, we've just had the playing of the national anthem. Let me repeat once again that we're at Edison High School. The change due to the fact that the field at J.P. Stevens was in such poor condition that they felt it would only be fair to both teams to move the game, and so we're at Edison High School. Speaking of the field, Jimmy, I know you were down on the field before the game. What kind of condition is it in?
Yeah, I've got mud on my shoes, John, to prove it. We're looking at the field right now, and it's, despite the job that Bob Cowell, the athletic director for Edison, did, it's just not in the best of shape. This is December. You've had the first snowfall. They did a good job of clearing it yesterday. Perhaps as the game moves along, it might get a little better in terms of drying up, but I think then again, the players are going to chew it up. Middle of the field is very treacherous. Perimeters are not too bad.
Phil, how about playing in a game like this in a muddy field? I mean, there's a wind factor, a chill factor, if you will. The ball's going to be slick. Can we expect a lot of turnovers?
Both of these teams are pretty good as far as turnovers are concerned. This is a state championship game, and I think all those things are going to go out the window. Each of them has played on muddy fields, and they know what they got to do. The coaches have drilled them well in holding on to the ball and letting them know that mistakes can be the turnaround in this game. So I think they're going to probably minimize them.
Okay, see in the middle of the field, the tossing of the coin. The captains for East Brunswick are Bob Rushneck and Greg Zambrovitz. For J.P. Stevens, we have George Booth, and number 71 is Mike Volpe. Again, it's a rather brisk day. It snowed on Thursday evening into Friday. The field has been cleared off, and so all things considered, everyone's ready to go. There's no excuses at this point.
John, it looks like Stevens has won the toss, has elected to receive, so East Brunswick will be kicking off from its left, from the left to right.
Let me mention, logistically, we are above the Stevens rooting section, and so across the field is the East Brunswick bench, and so we'll have an opportunity, which we normally don't have, to see the East Brunswick bench and the East Brunswick crowd. A good crowd, by the way, considering the weather.
Well, John, East Brunswick right away is going to go on defense unless something happens on the kickoff. Talking to Marcus Borden before the game, he mentions he's going to try a few wrinkles in its defense, in its ability to shut down the big play artist, and that's George Booth, number 44. Perhaps we're going to see Bob Rushneck, who normally plays at middle linebacker, flanking out to the left or right when Booth goes into a pass receiving situation, normally a running back. And if he can't do the job, then I think the secondary is going to go to a zone on that.
Okay, quickly, Phil, what does Stevens have to do to win this game?
I'll tell you, Stevens has to dance with the girl that they brought to the dance, so to speak. They got to do the things that they've been doing all year, and like I said, they've been building momentum towards this championship game. So just continue doing the things they've done all year, and most of that is Mr. George Booth.
Okay, and East Brunswick, Jimmy?
Well, I think, again, as I mentioned, stopping Booth is the big deal. Offensively, I think if they can sort of develop some consistency, something that they haven't been doing in the last 2 weeks. So if they can do that, then I think they're going to be in good shape.
Okay, Josh Miller is set to kick it off as we start the Central Jersey Group 4 State Championship. Miller's kick is going to be fielded out about the 18-yard line. And there, Stevens will start off on offense.
That's Paul Natelli on that play, grabbing that ball. They have a new rule this year that if the ball goes out of bounds, and that was very close to the sidelines, that the receiving team has the option of taking it there, but Natelli decided to grab it and go with it from that point.
Okay, J.P. Stevens comes out of the huddle. We have Robert Thomas at quarterback, Ron Grubbs and George Booth in the backfield. Thomas, that's Booth. Booth is going to be hit at the line. He may pick up a yard or two. Bring up a second down for Stevens.
John, I just want to set the defense for you on East Brunswick's side. Okay, Jones, Zambrovitz, Brennowitz, and Pazinko are going to be on the defensive line with Rushneck, Werenberg, Beskowski, and Chalecki in a linebacking situation. Chalecki also played cornerback. And you got Billy Bruning, Kenny Pruss, and Dave Novak in the defensive secondary.
Okay, it's 2nd and 9 for Stevens. The ball is on their 33-yard line. We're just starting the first quarter here. Thomas fakes the Grubbs, gives to Booth off the right side. George is wrestled out of bounds after a pickup of maybe 1 or 2 yards.
I'll tell you, John, this East Brunswick defense looks rather fired up. They've run Booth twice, and each time East Brunswick has been there to shut them down. And this may be the whole key to the game.
Okay, Stevens will be facing a 3rd and 7. And we'll see if Thomas, in fact, puts the ball up. He has a strong arm. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the county.
You can look for number 84, the tight end, Eric Fromm here.
Thomas calling signals. He fakes the grubs, looking to pass. He's got Fromm, and it's a great catch. Incomplete. I thought he had the ball. Great attempt by Fromm, but the East Brunswick defense was on top, and that'll bring up a punting situation.
Right, John, Kenny Pruss was in on that number 20. He's the all-county defensive back, just a junior, quite a leader, quite an all-around athlete.
Okay, Pruss and Mike Bostowski drop back for East Brunswick. It's 4th and 7, and Stevens will be punting. Punt is off the side of the Stevens punter's foot. And East Brunswick will have good field position as they start off on offense for the first time this afternoon.
Hey, Phil, let me ask you a question. The fact that Stevens had to maneuver from a poor part of the field down there in their own territory, you think that had an effect on their ability to run the ball well, and then, of course, in that 3rd down situation?
Stevens has played Neptune and a few other teams in the mud, and they've been able to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think at this stage of the game the field is going to be is a determining factor. East Brunswick's playing ball.
Okay, Mark Rodelbaum brings East Brunswick out. He has Andy Wernberg and Mike Bostowski in the backfield. That's Wernberg off his left side, big hole. And he'll pick up about 5 yards on the carry.
We'll set you offensively with the East Brunswick offense. Rodelbaum at quarterback, number 11, Wernberg 31, Bostowski 22, the running backs. Got Pruss, wide receiver, Dave Brown, number 10. Rushneck also tight end, and we'll get to the offensive lineman in a second.
Okay, 2nd and 5 for East Brunswick. The ball is marked at their own 47-yard line. Rodelbaum, quick pitch to Bostowski, left side. Mike's going to be dropped at about the line of scrimmage. He may have lost the yard. We'll see where they mark it.
Okay, real quick here, Steve Datz is the center, number 57. Guards, Maria, 77, Manetta, 66. Bazinko and Zambrovitz, number 71 and 56 respectively, are the tackles.
You see Eric Fromm, the defensive end right defensive end for Stevens, coming off the field. He was in on that last play. I don't know what seems to be the problem, but he's come to the sidelines.
I think he took a face full of mud, Phil.
Looks that way.
Okay, Rodelbaum looking to pass. He's being pressured, rolls out of the pocket. He's got a man open, Bostowski, and he overthrows him. That'll bring up a 4th down for East Brunswick, and I'm sure they'll bring out Brian Forte to punt.
John, that's Mark Rodelbaum's favorite maneuver, that wide to the right sort of play, and he looks for his receivers. I think it was a lot of good pressure by the Stevens defense that time.
Well, Jimmy, you're going to see that pressure all day because they did the same thing against Colonia and forced Colonia's quarterback into 5 interceptions by putting the pressure on it, so you're going to see it all day.
Okay, Forte's back to punt. The ball is on the East Brunswick 46-yard line. Forte gets off a low punt. It's going to be fielded by Grubbs. I'm sorry, it's Booth. And Booth is taken down at about his own 35. Stevens will have the ball once again. We have 8 minutes and 42 seconds to go here in the first period. No score.
So Stevens is going to get the ball basically in the same area that it started off before. A little bit of a switch today, Phil and John. I see Steve Dawson, number 17, who has recently rejoined the club, as the 4th linebacker, and Borden's very high on him. He's a quality player.
You've been telling me to watch out for him all year since he's been back. We'll see.
Okay, 1st and 10 for Stevens. Hand off to Booth. And Booth will pick up about 4 yards on the carry. Ball is spotted at the Stevens 37-yard line. It'll bring up a 2nd and 6.
The kid is only 165 pounds, but he's an awful hard runner, George Booth.
Stevens out quickly. Thomas over center. Handoff, fake to Grubbs. It's an option play. Thomas still has the ball, and a nice tackle there by Keith Chalecki at about the 40-yard line.
Yeah, John, that had all the makings of a big play. But Chalecki moved up from his linebacking position and was able to stop, we got about third and about 3?
Let's call it 3rd and 4, Jim.
You won't see that too much by Thomas. He does a lot of things. He's a winner, but he doesn't run that much. He has only 54 total yards for the year in rushing. So you won't see him run too much.
The ball is at the Stevens 41-yard line. It's 3rd and about 3. Handoff to Grubbs, left side. Big opening. I'm sorry, it's Booth. I'm mixing them up. It appears that Stevens keeps moving Grubbs and Booth from that blocking position.
Stevens has a multiple offense, and they'll do a lot of things to try to fool you, but the funny thing about it all comes back to the basics. The ball ends up in the same person's hand, and that's George Booth most of the time.
That's a first down for Stevens at about the 47, their own 47. Thomas, Booth, right side. Booth has some running room, fights his way.
We got a loose ball,
Booth fumbled the ball, let's see, and it's East Brunswick's ball. And the first turnover of the game. I didn't see it come out, Jim.
Well, I could just see by the scrambling that was going on after the play when Booth went down that apparently there was a loose ball. I didn't get who caught that, or rather recovered that fumble.
I think we're going to have to ask our audience to bear with us as we're starting to lose the numbers on the players' jerseys. All the action has been confined to the center of the field. Anyway, East Brunswick starts off on their own 44-yard line. They'll have it 1st and 10, and they have a full house backfield. And Rotobraum hands off to Bestowski. A flag is thrown, and Bestowski may get a yard if that. We'll see what the call is.
I think it's against East Brunswick.
Appears to be.
I think it was a motion, and that's what it is. So with 6 minutes and 11 seconds to go, and here in the first quarter, we have no score. East Brunswick has just been penalized for procedure, and we're waiting to hear, or see rather, if Stevens will take the call.
I'm sure they will, John.
Phil, if you got a moment, why don't you give us that Stevens defense?
Stevens on defense, you can look for Dwayne Bryan at left defensive end, number 58. Mike Volpe at tackle, 71. Rich Glasso, number 67, at middle guard. I'll finish it later.
Okay, Rotobraum brings it out. It's 1st and 15 for East Brunswick. He's looking to throw out to the flat here. He's got Pruss. Pruss is taken down at the 45, and we have a face mask call for sure.
Yeah, you bet, John. I saw that.
George Booth.
That's going to bring the ball down to probably the Stevens 43-yard line, where East Brunswick's going to get a first down.
I think that's going to be an interesting matchup today, Pruss and Booth.
Two fine athletes, both of them.
Yeah, I remember in that last game, Kenny was really up for the game and sort of trying to nail Booth the entire day.
Okay, the call is a face mask against Stevens. Gives East Brunswick a first down, and the ball in Stevens territory. It's officially marked at the 42, I'll call it. 1st and 10 for East Brunswick. 5:39 to go in the first quarter. Rotobraum, quick pitch to Bestowski, right side. Bestowski has some running room if he didn't step out of bounds. Fine run by Mike Bestowski. Ball down inside the 20-yard line of Stevens. Another first down.
That was student body right there. East Brunswick simply got out there and blockers and provided a lane for Baskowski to move all the way down to the 19-yard line.
Great blocking on the right side of the East Brunswick line there. Cleared it up nicely for Baskowski.
All right, East Brunswick 1st and 10 on the Stevens 19-yard line. They're on the move here. Rotobraum, Bestowski again up the middle. Michael fight his way for a yard or two.
What do you think, Phil? What's the situation here? You got a 2nd and long. Do you throw the pass on here, or do you keep it on the ground?
I'll tell you what. They've been moving on J.P. Stevens. You'll probably see Wernberg on this play right here.
All right, East Brunswick has a 2nd and 7. The ball is at around the 15-yard line. Rodelbaum fakes, looking to throw down the middle.
Rushnick's open.
Rushnick. Oh, and he's defended by, he's covered rather by 2 Stevens defenders.
I'll tell you, if George Booth hadn't gotten a hand on it, they could have charged Grubbs with face guarding. He had his back turned, not looking at the ball, and he was right in front of Rusnak. But fortunately, George Booth got his hand on it, and the official disallowed the play against Grubbs.
Brings up a 3rd and 7 for East Brunswick.
Doing my own speculating, if East Brunswick does not convert on this play, this is certainly within Josh Mill, the field goal kicker's range.
Okay, the ball is out around the 15-yard line of Stevens, 3rd and 7. Rodelbaum will look to pass again. He's being pressured up the middle, gets away from the rushers. He's going to run the ball. He's got some open territory, and he has the first down.
Boy, wasn't that a fine play?
Great running by Rodelbaum. I think that's the first time I've seen him run like this year.
I was going to concur with you, Phil. I didn't know he had it in him to just take off like that.
The middle was wide open, and Mark took advantage of it.
Sure, he did a good job just avoiding a tackle in the backfield.
So that puts the ball on the Stevens 5-yard line, and East Brunswick's knocking on the door. First time this afternoon. We have 4 minutes and 13 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Rodelbaum to Bastowski, right side. Mike hurdles over. He may have picked up a yard with that jump.
You know, John, you can see it in East Brunswick. They got confidence. They're controlling the ball. They're running very nicely. I like what I see.
Okay, the ball is on the 4-yard line now, bringing up a 2nd and 4 for East Brunswick. 2nd and goal, actually. Full house formation. East Brunswick's using that a lot this drive. Rodelbaum to Bastowski, right side. Mike is taken down, maybe a pickup of a yard. It's getting tough down here.
Yeah. You know, I remember in the last Stevens game, it appeared as though East Brunswick wanted to exploit that right side of the line. That's where Zambrovitz, 56, is the tackle. And of course, he's matched up against Volpe, number 71.
I'll tell you what, Volpe and Dwayne Bryan are doing a nice job on that side when it gets down and tight. The closer it gets to the goal line, the tougher they get.
It's 3rd and 3, or 3 yards to go for a touchdown for East Brunswick. Rodelbaum, Bastowski again. Mike fighting his way, but he's going to be short of the goal line, and we're going to face a 4th and about 2 for a touchdown in the first critical situation of the day.
Okay, let's play coach here. You want to get points on the board, but okay, East Brunswick's going to call a timeout and think about it. Phil, what would you do in a situation like this?
We see Coach Marcus Borden running out on the field. It's early in the game. This game has been decided, last 2 games has been decided by 1 point. I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see Borden sending the field goal kicker, but the fact that he's called timeout and he's out on the field indicates that he may be doing something else.
Mm-hmm. My feeling is that the weather, the slickness of the ball, the footing is not that good, and the fact that you have 3 yards to go, I think if nothing else, Borden wants to put this ball in to just show Stevens that, yes, hey, 3 yards, we can get 3 yards. Right. And they want to go up on top first.
John, you remember in the last game where East Brunswick was faced with a similar situation and they elected to go for the field goal, and of course it turned against them. So maybe they want the 7 points if they can possibly get it this early in the ball game.
Let me ask you guys, while we have this timeout, are you seeing anything that you didn't expect so far? It's a hard-hitting game. Obviously the weather is tempering the kind of coaching philosophy that you might see on a dry day, but
yeah, John, I think surprisingly East Brunswick is picking up where it left off last time. They seem to be dominating the offensive line.
Okay, 4th and 2 for a touchdown for East Brunswick. Rodelbaum to Wernberg, and Wernberg stopped. He's dropped short of the line of scrimmage, and Stevens will take over.
John, Dwayne Bryant, number 58 for J.P. Stevens. Coach Simonelli says he's probably the most underrated player on the defense. Says he's come to plays every game, and right there he showed his stuff, sticking his nose in there. A great play.
I'm not sure I understand that call. It was basically the same as they did the last 2 times.
Well, Stevens will have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 5-yard line. Goldstein in motion right. Thomas fakes the grubs.
Very close to a late hit, John. East Brunswick was fortunate there. Could have been called for a late hit there.
East Brunswick would do very well to prevent Stevens from getting a first down in this series. Would force them to kick. And let's see, we got 1:57 left in the quarter. Conceivably, we could get East Brunswick to force Stevens to kick against the wind.
Okay, it's 2nd and 7 for Stevens. Pickup of about 3. Goldstein now comes in motion to his left. Here's Booth. Booth, fine move to the outside, and he'll be up close to the 10-yard line.
Boy, that spinning ability of George Booth just gets those important yards.
He has, for a small man, amazingly strong legs. Never stops turning them.
Let's call it 3rd and 4. The ball is spotted at the Stevens 9-yard line. We have 1:15 to go here in the first quarter.
I'd say this is the biggest play of the game.
Thomas to Booth. Booth will get up close to the 10, but he'll be short of a first down. And I'll bring up 4th and about 4 to go with about 52 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Phil, you got to be pretty proud of the job East Brunswick did just right there.
East Brunswick's doing a fine job. They're pretty well showing what they're made of. You got Zambrovitz and that whole line doing a good job out there. They're taking it to J.P. Stevens right now. They look real good.
Okay, Stevens will go in punt formation. Cross and Bastowski are back for East Brunswick on around the Stevens 40-yard line. Good snap. And a kicker slip. Poor punt. It's going to give East Brunswick fine field position at around the Stevens 35-yard line.
Well, fortunately, the momentum of that slip enabled the Stevens kicker to get it out to the 35-yard line. That could have been a disaster right there if the lineman had blocked it. We only have 13 seconds left in the first quarter, so I don't know if he's... Yeah, okay, the clock's going to start. I don't think East Brunswick's going to get this play off.
Looking at that punt may also give you an idea what Coach Marcus Borden was thinking when he didn't go for the field goal. With the slippery conditions, if you can't get good footing with that foot that is on the ground there, then it's going to hurt your chances. So if you're looking for the reason why he went for those for the touchdown instead, that's a good example of it right there.
Okay, and that's the end of the first quarter. We have no score between Stevens and East Brunswick, and they both are fighting for the Central Jersey Group 4 State Championship. East Brunswick, when they go back on offense here to start the second quarter, will have the ball on the Stevens 36-yard line. Phil, we started to talk about, anything different or anyone being surprised as to what we're seeing. Jimmy mentioned East Brunswick is basically doing what we thought they would. What about Stevens?
Stevens is doing the same thing. Stevens, as I said in the past, runs a lot of motion and things of that sort, but they do the same basic plays, and that's what they're trying to do right now, and they haven't had great success to this point, but they're going to keep doing the same thing till something breaks.
Okay, East Brunswick has the ball, 1st and 10, Stevens 36-yard line. Rodelbaum faking, looking to pass. He's got a man out in the middle, out in the right flat rather, that's Wernberg, but he slipped and the ball's a little behind him. Incomplete pass.
Again, the field conditions came into play. The pass was there. The receiver was falling down at the time.
2nd and 10 for East Brunswick.
Phil, I'm going to bring it, I'm sorry, John. Phil, I was going to bring in something about the sun now. It's shining brightly and into the receiver's eyes if Rodelbaum decides to throw to his right. Is that a factor here?
It can be a factor. We learned that very well, I think, last year in the playoff game against J.P. Stevens, where the sun got in Derek Rowe's eyes. So the sun certainly can be a factor.
Okay, Rodelbaum, 2nd and 10, looking to throw again. He's being pressured, and he's going to be dropped for a loss. I think that was Rich Galasso for Stevens, number 67, who dropped him.
Rich Galasso, an outstanding player for Stevens. This kid happens to be the president of his student council at J.P. Stevens. He's won all types of honors. He's 17th in a class of 480. A very bright young man.
He obviously can play football too.
Rotobrom lost 8 yards on it. Brings 3rd and 18 for East Brunswick. The ball is at the Stevens 43-yard line. Rotobrom drops deep. He's looking long. He's got Pruss. Pruss slips down, and the ball goes over his head. Again, the field conditions.
Exactly.
You know, John and Phil, George Booth hasn't always been playing defense in a lot of the games, so the fact that he is playing today sort of puts an emphasis on how, you know, the high regard that Stevens has for East Brunswick's offense.
Well, Jimmy, it's a state championship. They better pull out all the stops because there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
You got to have your best out there.
Okay, Brian Forte is in the punt for East Brunswick, and Stevens has no one back deep. Forte trying to get it out in the corner, and he'll do so around the 22-yard line, and Stevens will take over deep in their own territory.
So East Brunswick misses a golden opportunity to at least advance the ball even further into Stevens territory. Galasso coming up with that big play. And once again, it's up to the East Brunswick defense to stop J.P. Stevens.
Well, they've done the job thus far.
All right, Stevens comes out. The ball is marked on their own 26, 1st and 10. It's Thomas with a quarterback sneak. He's up to the 30-yard line. He'll pick up about 4 yards.
Yeah, he's been known to use that play occasionally. I think he's given the option to call it when he sees the opening.
He will check at the line of scrimmage. Coach Simonelli says he's checked off for 5 touchdowns this year. So Thomas is a thinking quarterback, and he'll make changes at the line based on whatever the defensive formation is.
Okay, it's 2nd and 6 for Stevens. Ball is on their own 30. It's Goldstein in motion. Pitch to Booth. Right side, Booth has some running room. Crosses the 35. And he'll be close to a 1st down. We'll see where they mark it.
John, on that run, Booth has set his 4th school record for this year. He just broke Nick Sotero's 1978 mark for rushing during the season. That's his 4th record this year.
No doubt about his
talent. Great ball player.
Well, Booth picks up the 1st down for Stevens. The ball's at their own 36. We have 9 minutes and 53 seconds to go before half. No score in this game. Thomas fakes the grubs, gives to Booth. Outside, Booth is up to the 40. He'll pick up about 3 yards, and the flag is going to be thrown.
Whoa. Good Lord, that's going to be called on Baskowski for taking the swing at the Stevens ball player.
You know what, Jim? One thing Coach Tony Simonelli has said about this rivalry with East Brunswick is that it's been a good, clean one. They've played hard, good football each game, but nothing on the field has been done to make it a dirty rivalry, so to speak. And I don't think nothing has been done yet to do that.
No, I think, though, both teams are going to have to control their emotions this game. You don't want to have a game tainted by something like that.
Okay, it was a personal foul on East Brunswick, and the ball is moved into East Brunswick territory and placed at their own 45.
And this is where Stevens likes to maneuver now. They're in East Brunswick territory.
And they'll have a 1st and 10. Thomas calling signals. It's a pitch to Booth. He's going to throw the ball. Booth throws it down. He's looking long for number 86. And that's Jeff Goldstein. Goldstein was open, and Booth just overthrew him.
Goldstein was definitely open. Booth overthrew it right.
Yeah, you know, that was disguised very well, too. I thought Booth would take off for sure here, and he simply just outthrew his receiver.
If you're just joining us, I'm John Meggiolaro. I'm being joined this afternoon by Jimmy Allinder and Phil Hill. We're at Edison High School, where East Brunswick High School and J.P. Stevens High School are fighting it out for the Central Jersey Group 4 championship. We have 9 minutes and 18 seconds to go before half, and there's no score in this game. Okay, Stevens, 2nd and 10. That was Booth up the middle.
The middle of the East Brunswick line is doing the job.
Yeah, as they have all year, Phil. You got a good, solid wall up there. It appears as though Stevens' running success has been to the outside thus far.
All right, the ball has been placed on the East Brunswick 43-yard line. It's 3rd and 9 for Stevens.
I think you can look for Fromm here.
Thomas looking to throw. He's got Goldstein over the middle by himself. He's going to score. Goldstein, quick slant play, wide open.
Well, you saw it. Bruning was on the coverage right there, and just a perfect throw right down the middle. Goldstein just outran the defense.
You call it, Jimmy. Just a nice play. That's all you can say. He's split the defenders, slanted towards the middle. The throw was right there, and all he had to do was take it in.
So Stevens gets on the board first with 8 minutes and 35 seconds to go here before the halftime.
Jeff Goldstein with a nice reception and a nice run for a touchdown.
Not someone we've heard too much about either, huh?
You don't hear too much about him. He doesn't have that many receptions. Fromm usually gets most of them.
All right, Stevens for the extra point. Good snap. The ball is down, and it's good. J.P. Stevens takes the lead, 7-0.
Was it anything that East Brunswick was not ready for in that situation, or it was just a well-executed play?
It was a well-executed play. I think most of the people were in position. It was just executed perfectly. East Brunswick, of course, has been keeping their eyes on Grubb in the running game, and I said a pass would be done that time. I thought it would go to Fromm, but it ended up going to Goldstein, and it just worked.
I think one thing, too, Phil, they appeared to catch East Brunswick in a man-to-man coverage, and it was a mismatch, Bruning against Goldstein in terms of height. All right, Stevens will be kicking off to East Brunswick.
It's been big plays that have hurt East Brunswick this year. You don't grind it out too much and take it in from the one. It's been the big plays that have beat them. Witness Colonia.
That's Ken Pruss, who's back deep for East Brunswick. It's going to be a short kick. Wernberg's going to pick it up at his own 11. Breaks through. And Wernberg's got the right sideline. He could go all the way. Andy Wernberg's going to go 89 yards. And he does. Unbelievable.
I tell you, John, how many times have you seen that? We saw it last week when Colonia played East Brunswick.
Right.
Whalen stumbled, fumbled with the ball, then picked it up and broke it. And the same thing has happened here.
You can see the East Brunswick crowd. Boy, talk about a timely break, if you will.
John, I just think that Andy Wernberg just found something on the side here and just took it down. Excellent speed, and I'll tell you what, if anybody characterizes the heart and soul of this East Brunswick team, it is Andy Wernberg. Extremely hard worker.
I agree with you. He's a consistent player. If anybody saw the Cedar Ridge game, he seems like he was the only one that came to play. Last week he was playing as well. He's steady. He's consistent. You got to like the young man.
Okay, Miller on for the extra point. Ken Press will hold. This is to tie the game. Snap is good. Miller's kick is up, and it's good, and we have a tie ball game, 7-7, with 8 minutes and 20 seconds to go before halftime. You know, one of the interesting things, Jim and Phil, when Wernberg fumbled the ball, he did not panic, and he picked it up, and he was almost waltzing.
You know, it's sort of interesting, John.
He just kind of just took a few steps.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening. Found the seam, broke it to the right sideline, and was gone.
Well, what often happens in situations like that is when a kickoff team is, you know, timing is a big thing in kickoffs. So that if that, you know, if there's a delay on a fumble, that's just enough to throw off the wall. And I think it worked for East Brunswick in that regard.
Exactly.
All right, two big plays within a matter of less than a minute.
We got a game here, John.
Oh, I think so.
A good game here.
That ought to give East Brunswick's defense a lift.
Boy, the field is really getting mushy now.
Fortunately, we know a lot of East Brunswick players because I think their numbers are going to be erased fairly shortly.
Okay, Josh Miller to kick it off for East Brunswick. And here we go. Nice kick by Miller. Booth feels the ball, bobbles it somewhat at his 15. And Booth crosses his 30-yard line. Up around the 32. And Stevens will go on offense there.
I thought that was pretty good coverage, kick coverage on the East Brunswick team.
Well, I think nothing else when a kickoff is returned against you, the first thing you do is, if you're the opposing team, is you get your own kickoff team together and say, listen, we don't want that to happen to us.
It's a good observation.
All right, the ball's on the 32-yard lines of Stevens. They have it 1st and 10. 7-7 here. Goldstein goes in motion right. Thomas to Booth. George Booth crosses the 35, up around the 37-yard line.
That's decent yardage.
It's good yards. He does that little Tony Dorsett spin. You don't see that in a lot of kids in high school, and seems to have it under control.
Bill, he really does remind me of Dorsett. That ability to just shake tackles and get that extra yardage. Right away he's got 4 yards on that play where it really shouldn't have been anything substantial.
Okay, 2nd and 6. The ball is at the 37-yard line. Thomas is the quarterback. He has Grubbs and Booth in the backfield. Goldstein goes in motion. Here's a pitch to Booth again. Trying to find some running room. The ball is stripped and East Brunswick's got it. At about the 45-yard line, East Brunswick comes up with the fumble. Second fumble by George Booth.
That's correct, John. There was a good tackle. I think Rushnick was in on that as one, and the ball with a slippery situation.
All right, East Brunswick, 7 minutes and 16 seconds to go before half. Comes up with another turnover.
Wernberg again. I told you I like this kid. He's around the ball all the time.
All right, we have a timeout, an equipment timeout here on the field. Jimmy, you were mentioning last week while we were watching the Colonial game that turnovers have played a big part in East Brunswick's season this year.
That's just a good hard hit.
All right, Rodelbaum, that's Wernberg, and he is close to the Stevens 40-yard line. Picks up about 3. Plenty of time to go here before half. East Brunswick will have it 2nd and 7. The ball is at the Stevens 42-yard line. Rodelbaum again to Wernberg, left side. And he'll pick up maybe a yard. Bring up a 3rd down for the Bears.
Well, I think we're going to see this passing situation, or rather Rodelbaum passing in this situation, probably going to the right side where he has a lot more room.
Kenny Pruss coming in from the sideline here, perhaps with a play.
We may look for that screen that East Brunswick invariably runs at least once a game.
I've never seen it work.
Okay, 3rd and 6 for East Brunswick. The ball is on the Stevens 40-yard line. Quick pitch to Bestowski. That's Pruss, rather. Mike crosses the 40, but it's going to bring up a 4th down.
John, I think that was Bestowski, 22 on that. It's hard to see their numbers right now. It's,
well, regardless, Brian Forte is coming out to punt. It's 4th and 3, and Borden is looking to put Stevens deep in their own territory. This time, Stevens drops back 2 men. The key man being number 44, George Booth. Here's Forte's punt. Beautiful punt. That ball hits around the 10-yard line and just goes into the end zone. So Stevens will take over on their own 20.
I'll tell you what, John, I like this kid, Brian Forte. He's a freshman, happens to be the president of his class, an excellent basketball player. I think he won the freshman award as an 8th grader last year. And East Brunswick is going to develop himself a fine punter. Matter of fact, all the kickers out here on the field are young people. Miller, I believe, is a sophomore, and Theodoro for J.P. Stevens happens to be a sophomore also.
You know, we didn't mention that at the top of the show, but now that you brought it up, Phil, these teams are well balanced, both of them, and match up rather well in terms of capabilities and skills. All right, Stevens will take over 1st and 10 on their own 20. 5 minutes to go before halftime. Thomas looking to pass. He's got time, looking down the field for Goldstein. The ball's picked off by Pruss. That's his 8th, I believe, of the season. And Pruss is taken down at about the 28-yard line.
John, that was an incredible play by Kenny Pruss. He knew that that play was going to go to Goldstein, just like Stevens scored on the last touchdown, maintained his poise, and just came over and picked it off from his quarterback position.
I'll tell you what, John, I thought there was going to be an interference call on that. It seems like the guy was hit before the ball got there. With that interception, Kenny Pruss puts himself clearly in the second place for interceptions for the season, behind Bill Logan.
All right, Rotobaum looking to score quickly, going down the middle, and almost intercepted by the Stevens player, number 22. That's Weinblatt. That'll stop the clock with 4 minutes and 38 seconds to go.
I was saying on that Pruss interception, John, he was tied with Paul Dresiak, and right now for career interceptions, he's in second place all alone. Bill Logan had 11 in 1981.
Okay, so East Brunswick comes up with their second turnover of this quarter, and they're looking to push it in. It's tied 7-7. The ball is at the Stevens 28-yard line. Rotobaum looking to throw again, and that ball's picked off by Grubbs. And Rotobaum has to make the tackle. Oh, back-to-back turnovers.
Yeah, Stevens dodges a bullet there.
Jimmy Grubbs. You know, it seems like there's been a Grubbs on J.P. Stevens forever. There were 4 brothers, Grubbs. There was a Willie, Mark, Jimmy was an All-Stater in 1974, and seems like they have a Grubbs around forever, and he was in the right place at the right time this time.
All right, the ball is at the Stevens 35. They'll take it over 1st and 10 with 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in the second period. Here's a handoff to Grubbs. Grubbs is going to be dropped short of the line of scrimmage.
Nice play by Bobby Rushnick there. Smelled that play out right away.
Grubbs will lose close to 2 yards on that play.
I definitely think Stevens is going to be trying some passing again here, second and long yardage. We haven't seen Booth flanked yet this game, and I'm watching to see that happen.
Okay, let's call it 2nd and 12. The ball is at the 31-yard line. Thomas hands off to Booth. Big hole, Booth up to the 40.
On that run there, Booth slipped coming out of his tracks there, regained his balance to take the handoff and picked up good yardage. Good balance.
And I think it's another one of these important calls right now here. We've got a 3rd and long. If East Brunswick can hold, they can conceivably get the ball in decent field position with 3 minutes and 28 seconds left.
Ball is on the Stevens 40. It's 3rd and about 5. There's Booth, left side. He's got the outside. And a nice tackle there by Ken Pruss, I believe.
I believe he's short of the first down.
We'll see where they mark it. It's going to be close, Phil. A timeout, an official timeout. And I'm sure they'll bring the chains across.
Well, if he made it, it's going to be by about an inch or so.
Let's wait for the official call here. It's a first down for Stevens. The ball will be at their own 44. They have 3 minutes and 7 seconds to go. We're tied 7-7. I can't help but wonder, East Brunswick had 2 scoring opportunities and was unable to capitalize on either one. We'll see if that comes back to haunt them at some point. All right, 1st and 10. Booth, left side. Booth working out of that I formation, picks up about 3 yards.
Let's do a little reminiscing, John. You recall last year's Central Jersey Group 4 game between these 2 teams. Stevens was behind, I think it was like 14-7, and scored with only a few seconds left. East Brunswick definitely is going to try to avoid the score here at all costs.
I think one of the interesting characteristics about both teams is the fact that they don't seem to get flustered once they're behind. They both have shown that capability to come back. All right, let's call it 2nd and 7. The ball is at the 46-yard line of Stevens. That's Goldstein in motion. Here's Booth again. Booth will be up close to the 50, but he'll be far short of the first down. He'll bring up a 3rd and long.
I'll tell you what, they're over there where they have some grass on the field now. They may have been maneuvering over that way to try for a screenplay on that side there where they have some good footing. They couldn't very well do it in the middle of the field because it was just too muddy. But with East Brunswick surely coming on this play, don't be surprised if J.P. Stevens tries a screenplay here.
So we got a timeout on the field, don't we, John?
Yeah, we have an official timeout. In high school ball, for some of those in our audience who are not familiar, the officials will take a timeout if one of the players has an equipment problem.
You mean it's not a television timeout?
I'll tell you what, we're going to have to ask for some heat in these boots from now on. All right, we have 1 minute and 30 seconds to go before half. Stevens has the ball, 3rd and 6 on their own 48-yard line. Thomas to Booth. Booth right up the middle. And boy, has he hit. Oh, it's a fake to Booth. I'm sorry, I was faked out on that. Looking for Goldstein down the left sideline. The pass was incomplete. He had me fooled.
It's a good fake.
Okay, so East Brunswick is successful in shutting down Stevens, creating a 4th down situation. Kenny Pruss is back deep, and when he catches the ball, boy, he can do some things with it.
He's just a fine athlete. Fine all-around athlete, a junior at that.
All right, Stevens will punt. 1 minute and 20 to go before half. We're tied 7-7. It's a low kick. Pruss is going to field the ball, and he'll drop right on it at about the 16-yard line.
He was like a third baseman scooping that one up there.
Certainly was. You know, I was talking to Board, and the Syracuse people were down to look at Rushneck, who's going to be making a decision about college. And the coaches there were quite impressed with Kenny Pruss.
And rightfully so. He's got another year, so they got plenty of time to look at him.
All right, the clock is running, and we're under a minute here before halftime. Rotobrom hands off to Wernberg, right side, and he's got some running room in a hole, and he's up close to the 30-yard line. Timeout on the field.
Good blocking on that side, open up the hold for Wernberg.
East Brunswick calls a timeout. That's their second. They have, I believe, one more. 52 seconds left on the clock.
Phil, let's assume that East Brunswick does not score, and we go into halftime at 7-7. Do you think the Bears have to be a little happy about that?
I think they would. I think they've done a fine job. I think each team has had turnovers that have hurt them, but both teams are playing ball. I'm glad to see, to be quite frankly, I'm glad to see that East Brunswick isn't playing the type of ball that they were playing the second half of Colonia. I was afraid that, I wasn't really afraid that they would come out that way, but that's the only time this year that I've seen them that they didn't seem to be playing ball.
There's no doubt that this is a different ball club today than what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. Even against Middletown North, John, maybe you'll agree with me on this, the 14-7 win, the Bears just didn't seem to have the consistency of offense that they had early in the season. Today, even though they're not doing a lot, there's still a lot more confidence out there.
They're doing quite a bit out there, though, Jimmy, I'll tell you. They're playing ball.
Yes, they are.
1st and 10 for East Brunswick. The ball is at the 28-yard line. Wernberg, he crosses the 30. We're under 45 seconds now before half. And East Brunswick calls, I believe, their last timeout. I don't know why you would call a timeout at this point if you're running the ball.
Well, you may call the timeout. There may be that play. Sometimes teams have a play that they practice, a special play. The coach comes out on the field there. What he wants to talk about, he wants to talk about execution. He wants to talk about that play that we've been practicing, that we've been holding on to use in certain situations, and he wants to make sure everybody's ready to execute it. So that could be the reason. I'm sure he's in there telling them, listen, whatever you do, hold on to that ball. We don't want to turn over down at this end of the field with this much time left. So a number of things could be being said. I think Marcus Borden has made up his mind. He's going for things, but the mere fact he went for that touchdown early on, he's not, seconds have beaten him before. He's using every second this game.
It's a good observation.
Okay, it's 2nd and 6. The ball is at the East Brunswick 31-yard line. Rotobrom is going to put the ball up in the air. He rolls right, looking for Chalecki, overthrown, but we have a flag thrown, and we'll see what it is. It may be a holding call. And that's what it is. It's going to be holding against East Brunswick. Be interesting to see what Stevens does on this.
Well, I can tell you what East Brunswick's going to do. Now that they're going to be put back in their territory with we'll have a second down situation. I don't think they're going to try anything fancy now. Probably just going to run a couple of plays. Don't know how many timeouts Stevens has, but probably going to try to let the clock, run out as much as possible.
I believe Jimmy Stevens has all of their timeouts. Stevens has elected to take the penalty. It's a holding against East Brunswick. It'll move the ball down to the East Brunswick 21-yard line.
The ruling on that, John, is from where, when you get a holding penalty, it's where it hurts the most. So if it happens behind the line of scrimmage, then they're going to move it back from that point.
Okay, East Brunswick's facing a 3rd and 18 on their own 21 with 40 seconds to go before half. That's Warrenberg. And he is up around the 35-yard line. And now we have a timeout called.
J.P. Stevens.
And I'm sure it's Stevens, and it is.
They've been using Warrenberg like a true workhorse today. Some players are better in the mud, and he certainly holds on to the ball well. So it might be one of the reasons that we seem to be seeing him a little bit more than we ordinarily.
Gentlemen, that's something I think we ought to point out. East Brunswick their backs have been very, very good this season in holding on to the ball. They haven't been turning it over. A lot of the turnovers have been coming on either interceptions or plays out, fumbles after kickoffs and things of that nature. And I think we ought to tip our hats to the East Brunswick backfield this year. They're pretty unsung. Warrenberg hasn't gotten a lot of press. Baskowski is a newcomer. And of course, Keith Chalecki really is who did the job early in the season before he was injured. Of course, he is still a main cog on the defense.
Well, when you have teams that have few turnovers, it comes down to good coaching, John. They're drilled well.
Okay, 35 seconds. East Brunswick's facing a 3rd and 14. Ball on their own 25. Rotobrom on a counter up the middle to Chalecki. Chalecki gets the line of scrimmage, and another timeout called by Stevens. And they're going to get the ball back with around 30 seconds to go.
Yeah. Phil, I have to say something. This has been a pretty physical game. Even though we had mentioned it before, that we didn't want to see a lot of extracurricular activity, there has been a lot of swinging and they're talking to each other. And I have to feel as though each team is pretty keyed up about this game. Just in that sense alone.
They're keyed up. There's no tomorrow. It's the state championship, and it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself, and each team, I would say, is ready. Each team is definitely ready, and they're giving no quarters.
So Forte has a rather important kick to make here.
Okay, 4th down for East Brunswick. Again, Stevens has no one deep, which is unusual. Here's Forte. He's being and in front of block. It's picked up. Number 58 for Stevens will score.
I'll tell you, Ronnie Grubbs blocked that punt. Grubbs coming in, blocked it.
And Dwayne Bryant.
And Dwayne Bryant picked it up for the touchdown.
Again, the timeouts by East Brunswick has hurt them. It happened the last time they played Stevens, and here again we see it happen.
It's almost like deja vu, John. That late score in the first half. Remember Booth running down the sidelines for a touchdown, and here we got another score.
It certainly hurts for this time of the game.
All right, Stevens now to put on the extra point. Snap is low, but it's placed and blocked by East Brunswick. I think that was Ted Pazinko who blocked it. But anyway, Stevens is on top 13-7. That may give him a lift, though, going into the locker room, considering what happened to them in the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, well, you got that situation now where you got the odd point so that East Brunswick doesn't, if they had scored again, they don't have to go for the 2-point conversion.
I I agree with you, John. That's an important block there. You know, as I said before, the last 2 games were won by 1 point. Blocking that point there it should give them somewhat of a lift. Stevens is already going to have a lift, having scored this close to the half going in.
But what you're going to have to do is East Brunswick's offense is going to have to put in a score now.
Well, just to recap, Grubbs blocked the punt by Forte. Ryan picked it up and rambled in the 15 yards for the score. And Stevens is on top now, 13-7, 25 seconds left before halftime. Nice high kick, fielded by Chalecki. Chalecki's dropped at the 30-yard line. And East Brunswick will take over. They have 21 seconds before half.
Paul Notelli dropped him on that play. An excellent tackle.
I would think we'll see East Brunswick just run it out here and go in the locker room down by 6 points.
I am positive of that.
Again, we don't mean to criticize, but you need to wonder. And East Brunswick just runs out the clock. So that's it for the first half. East Brunswick trailing 13-7. And as the teams leave for the locker room in some warmth, we need to maybe reassess this first half. It's been a hard played first half. Number of turnovers that have changed things around or could have given both teams the advantage. At this point, it seems that Stevens has taken advantage of those turnovers where East Brunswick has not been able to thus far.
Right, John, East Brunswick had 3 turnovers that time in the first half, 2 on the fumble, and then, of course, the press interception, and weren't really able to capitalize on any of them.
So I've got to ask you about those timeouts near the end of the half here, the first half. As a coach, you're calling timeouts and then you're running the ball. I know you did mention...
Well, he threw a pass on one of those. He attempted a pass on one of those plays, so he wasn't running them on both. It's just that you got to be cognizant of the fact that time is running out. The other team, you really don't want the other team to get the ball back. He called the timeout, giving them time to get the ball back. It's not intentional on the coach's part. As I said, when he went in there, I was sure he had a play that that was going to be the play. That's his reason for going out there.
Well, you could be right. We won't know until after the game. But it's been a good first half. It's anyone's ball game. And I think the second half it's going to be a matter of turnovers and ball control and execution. So we'll see. We'll be back with you for the second half in just a few minutes.
Okay, we're back here at begin the second half. I'm Jim Allinder along with Phil Hill. John Meggiolaro will be joining us in a second. He's a little late getting back. Scores 13-7. Stevens will be kicking off to begin the second half. East Brunswick will be going from our left to right. Deep for the Bears is Kenny Pruss, number 20. And kicking off will be, is that Theodoro?
Exactly.
Phil?
Right.
That's Chalecki with the ball. And he slips and falls down on the 24-yard line, and that's where the Bears will begin on offense. Phil, what do you think East Brunswick's going to have to do?
I think they're running the ball fairly well, but I think they're going to have to do a few pop passes, a few surprise things to throw J.P. Stevens out of whack, so to speak.
All right.
They've been sort of predictable to this point.
Rotobrom calling signals, and the give is to, I guess that's Baskowski. Excuse me, that was Wernberg, and he gets about 5 yards going on the left side. So East Brunswick will be faced with a 2nd and 5. Let's call it a 2nd and 4 yards to go. 6-yard pickup.
Wernberg is doing some good running in this game, Jim.
Yes, he has. He has been probably the most positive offensive element for East Brunswick this afternoon. And the give is to Wehrenberg again, and he fights his way on the left side for another 2 yards. Again, East Brunswick staying on the ground. They're going to have 3rd and short here, about 3rd and 2. And Phil, I guess it's a running situation again?
I would think so. They've been picking up at least 2 yards each time Wehrenberg carries the ball, so I think you can look for him to take it here to try to get that first down.
Okay. John, you're back with us?
As soon as I get my glasses on so I can see the action.
He stopped short.
Yes, he is. So East Brunswick missing an opportunity here to get a first down, and will be forced to kick. If you're joining us again, Stevens was able to block a punt with 25 seconds left to go in the second period. Was returned for a touchdown, and this is where we are, 13-7. That's Forte on the punt, and it looks like Booth is going to field it in the air. He avoids one tackle and has got the sideline, still going, and is finally brought down by a host of East Brunswick tacklers at about the 37-yard line of East Brunswick. So George Booth showing what he does best.
Those legs just never stop, Jimmy. They keep moving. Strong power base, strong legs.
Okay, John, we'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you. Good job, Jim. Phil. All right, Stevens, their first offensive possession of the second half. They lead 13-7. They have the ball close to the East Brunswick 35-yard line. That's Goldstein in motion. This is Booth, left side. He's got a big hole. He's trying to get out to the outside. Brunig can't get him down, and Booth slips at about the 28.
Now, fortunately, George slipped on that play, and curiously, it was on one of the green portions of the field, so apparently the entire field in treacherous condition. It's a big series for East Brunswick. They have definitely got to prevent Stevens from scoring here to keep it within one touchdown.
Booth picked up 9 yards to make it a 2nd and 9. Stevens comes out with a full house backfield. That's Grubbs with the ball. And Grubbs is hit at about the 25-yard line.
There's a flag on the play, John.
Okay, let's look at this because this could be important. All right, a holding call.
It is holding against Stevens.
Stevens had gotten the first down on that play, so that's going to bring him back from the point of foul. Is it 10 yards, Phil, or it's 15?
It's 10 yards. 10 yards from where it hurts the most.
Right.
In this case, it would be the point of where the holding penalty was, which was beyond the line of scrimmage, so to move it from that point.
And that brings the ball back to the Stevens, East Brunswick rather, 37-yard line. Grubbs has come out hobbling, and he's on the bench right now.
Interesting to see how Stevens operates because Grubbs is in deep pain here.
2nd and 11. Thomas, fake, looking to throw. He's being pressured, rolls right, throws the ball up for Fromm. Fromm tries a one-hand grab and misses. Great attempt.
Great effort.
Incomplete pass. That'll bring up 3rd down for Stevens.
Okay, John, I was beginning to say that Grubbs is hobbling on the left, is on the sidelines here. He is like the chemistry in that backfield. We all know that George Booth, what he can do, but he provides a lot of blocking and there's a big timing factor back there, and I'm very curious as to how Stevens is going to react to his loss.
Tony Simonelli says he is a big part of the offense. He does the great portion of the blocking for George Booth.
Okay, 3rd and 11 for Stevens. The ball on the East Brunswick 38-yard line. We've just started the second half. Thomas looking to throw, drops back, looking deep, lays the ball up for Booth down the center of the field, and it's caught by, who is that, Fromm comes over. It looked like it was going to be an interception by Pruss. Pruss slipped. Fromm stepped in front and picked the ball up. And the ball is placed on about the one foot line.
There's really not too much you can do about that. That was it was really almost like a Hail Mary type of pass.
It was a good pass. It was a great pass, but it was a great adjustment by the receiver. Number 84, Eric Fromm, made a great adjustment on it. You also had Booth back there trying to cut back in to get towards the ball.
All right, Stevens is knocking. The ball's on the 1 foot line. There goes Booth. He runs into Thomas. A flag's been thrown. Booth is in for the score, but let's see what the flag is.
Touchdown's going to be called back. Illegal motion.
We got a shift, illegal shift, or motion, if you will. So East Brunswick catches a break here.
I tell you, see Thomas throw that pass, and while it wasn't as great as it looked, you remember the one that he threw the last time they played, and this kid has an arm on him. You wonder why perhaps J.P. Stevens doesn't show more balance than they do. But they've been winning, so who can argue?
And that's the key. When you have a George Booth back there, you try to utilize his ability because you simply avoid the interception when you throw the ball.
Okay, East Brunswick accepted the penalty. The ball is moved out to the 6-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal for Stevens from there.
Okay.
Weinblatt's in for Grubbs, with Booth joining him in the backfield.
Yeah,
quick pitch to Booth, right side. He's got some running room. Chalecki going after him, can't make the tackle, but slows him up enough. And Booth is taken out at about the 3-yard line.
Boy, they had him trapped back there on the 6-yard line, and he was able to avoid 1 tackle and got down to about the 3, looks about the 2.5 right now. And at this point, those are pretty valuable yards.
All on individual effort. He's just a great talent. See Ronnie Grubb standing up on the sideline. He looks a little better than he looked a little while ago. Can't tell if he's coming back in the game.
2nd and goal for Stevens. The ball's on around the 2-yard line. Fromm's in motion. Hand off to Booth. Booth is hit right at the line. Fine play by that middle section of the East Brunswick defense.
You can credit Baskowski on that tackle. He was just simply penetrated the line there. Looks like an official. All right, Stevens calls timeout here.
Look like we have an injury for. Now he's just tired. He's all right.
Okay, with the timeout, we have 6 minutes and 37 seconds to go here in the 3rd period. Stevens on top, 13-7. And if you're just joining us, let me quickly recap the scoring for you. Stevens got on top first in this game as Jeff Goldstein grabbed a 42-yard pass from Robert Thomas, and Stevens went up on top 7-0. Andy Wernberg, following that play, went 89 yards with a kickoff return, and East Brunswick quickly tied the score at 7-7. With about 25 seconds to go before half, East Brunswick in a punting situation. Brian Forte's punt was blocked by Grubbs, picked up by Bryant, and Bryant rambled to 15 yards for the touchdown, making the score 13-7, and that's where we are right now. Timeout on the field. Stevens has the ball at about the 3-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 3 for them, 3rd and goal, if you will. And they're looking to increase their lead.
Phil, you think we might see a wide play here?
They may go off tackle. He's been doing it.
Okay, Fromm goes in motion. Fake.
Oh my Lord!
Oh, all by himself. That was Tony Mayers. Tony Mayers went all by himself. There was a fake to Booth, and Thomas just lofted a soft pass over into the end zone.
I'd venture to say that's the first time that play's been done this year. It fooled everyone.
It really was just disguised just well. And Thomas, being the quarterback he is, with a lot of poise.
That makes it 19-7, Stevens.
And I have to think that Stevens is playing now with a lot of confidence, given that 13th. Well, they're going to try to convert here.
We have a timeout, Stevens. Stevens has called his 2nd timeout now within the last 10 seconds. That may come back to haunt them if this becomes a close game.
Well, with Thomas coming back in, and I don't see...
and Booth.
Looking to see if the kicker is there, and they may just try to go for 2 here. That's probably going to be the case. You know, you have that, that cushion now of being ahead by more than 7 points. so that you can take a chance here trying to convert the 2. And I'll tell you what, if they do, that really puts East Brunswick up against the wall, because that means they'll have to score twice, and at least on one of those, if they expect to win, have to go for 2 points.
It's interesting. Booth leads the county in scoring, and yet all the touchdowns that have been scored today have been scored by different individuals. Bryant.
Let me say something about East Brunswick. You know, they are down now, 19-7, with the possibility of going 2 more points behind. Marcus Borden has really instilled a lot of pride in this team, and they are not going to give up the ship by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay, Stevens will go for the 2-point conversion. Thomas gives it to Booth, and Booth is not going to make it. He's going to be short, and so the score will remain 19-7. Stevens in the lead.
Yeah. It looked like he may have gotten close, but his knee actually hit the ground a lot sooner.
That was a good effort by the East Brunswick defense there to stop him.
Jimmy, you made the point that East Brunswick has shown the ability all year to come back, and we'll certainly have an opportunity to see that now. That has been one of their strong points, that with the exception of the Colonia game, they've been able to come back anytime they've gotten behind.
All right, East Brunswick will await the kickoff from Stevens. 6 minutes and 33 seconds to go in the third period, so there's plenty of time. No need to panic at this point on the part of the East Brunswick coaching staff. I think a drive here would be important for them, though. Here's the kickoff. It's going to be Chalecki at about his 15. Chalecki slips down at around the 27-yard line, and that's where East Brunswick will start.
Phil, you agree with me? East Brunswick's going to have to do something different offensively?
Well, I think they are. I think J.P. Stevens has done a few things differently, and I think they're going to have to do some things to show surprise. Is that George Booth on the bench? George Booth appears to be hurt here.
Here's Rodelbaum. He's looking to pass. He's being pressured. He's going to be dropped. He's going to be dropped inside his own 20.
Bill, that's correct. That is George Booth on the bench, and I think on that 2-point conversion, he really did take a shot. They're working on that, looks like the right leg.
No, Jimmy, I think it's the groin area.
It's the groin area?
It appears to be the groin area.
Okay.
When you do that type of exercise, it's usually being hit in the wrong spot.
Well, let's focus our attention on the field.
All right, it's 2nd and 19 for East Brunswick. The ball is on their own 24, and we have motion here. It looks like one of the East Brunswick linemen came up out of his stance. And that's the call. So East Brunswick will be moved back another 5 yards. Illegal procedure against East Brunswick. That'll make it 2nd and 14. The ball has now been spotted at the 14. So they're starting out in a little bit of trouble here. Rodelbaum looking to pass. Oh! Mueller to Bastowski on the old give and go, if you will.
Well, Jimmy, we said East Brunswick going to have to try something different, and they certainly did there.
Let me say something, Phil. You know, that was the play that East Brunswick tried to do in the waning seconds of the last Stevens game. That play was designed to go all the way, and I'll give Stevens credit for being able to shut that down, because Bastowski almost had an open field.
Well, let's give East Brunswick some credit, too, for executing as well as they did.
All right, I called Mueller, but it was actually Andy Wernberg who caught the ball. Lateral back to Bastowski, and East Brunswick gets a first down. The ball is at their own 47. Rodelbaum, he's got Brown, Dave Brown. Brown across midfield. He'll pick up close to 5 yards.
So East Brunswick at least out of its own territory now. And that of course, gives them a little bit more maneuverability here. There's no doubt that East Brunswick's going to have to throw a couple of wrinkles into its offense.
All right, 2nd and 7 for East Brunswick. The ball on the Stevens 49. Rodelbaum on an inside handoff. I think that's Bastowski. And Bastowski rambles his way down close to the 30-yard line.
Boy, what a fine run that was. He bounced off about 3 tackles there, and that was just sheer brute strength.
First down for East Brunswick. Again, we ask our audience to bear with us. The East Brunswick uniforms are becoming muddy to the point where we cannot distinguish
George
the
Booth
numbers.
appears to be okay now, John. He's back in the game at his left defensive halfback spot.
I'd be interested in trying something, Noah, on that side.
Test it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, East Brunswick, 1st and 10. Rotobaum, hands off. I don't know who it was that.
Boy, the going's really getting tough down there. That might have been Bruning on that play.
It was Bruning, Jim.
Still got about 4 yards on the play.
Yeah, they'll bring up a 2nd and 6, and the ball is now on the Stevens 29-yard line. We have 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in the 3rd period. Rotobrom, quick pitch to Brunig, left side.
He's got some room.
He'll pick up maybe a yard. Bring up a 3rd down for the Bears.
Well, he had a little daylight right there, and John, I think we're going to give him 3 on that, maybe 2. So, got about a 3rd and a short 5 yards.
Let's call it 3rd and 4, Jim.
Yeah.
And the ball is at about the 27.
I'm surprised they haven't thrown to Rusnak yet. I think they attempted one play, and this seems to be a good time that they might try to get a quick one to him.
All right, Rotobrom takes a short drop, looking over the middle. Mueller's wide open, and the ball off the shoulder pads, incomplete.
Well, Mark's a little disappointed at that pass. He knows he threw it just a little bit behind Andy. He was definitely open, and with 4th down being right here, East Brunswick certainly is going to go for it.
And they're going to call a timeout first, Jim.
You know what? Watching Mueller try to catch a pass, one thing it brings to mind that both J.P. Stevens and East Brunswick probably have what would have been the finest receivers in the area out. J.P. Stevens has the county champion hurdler, Benny Green, who would have surely probably been all-county, and Barry Flanagan for East Brunswick was all-county last year. So they're both missing what could have probably made certainly made their teams much more versatile.
Good point, Phil. And we haven't mentioned either one of those players today, and they've been an important part in this rivalry and their respective teams.
By the way, we should say something about the East Brunswick basketball team. They're going to be opening up in about a week or so, I understand.
With Super Knock?
No, Frank stopped me before and says, don't forget, we're going to open it up at home against Perth Amboy. And it's got a decent team this year. He has returning Tommy Jaronsky, Keith Mataseski, Greg Berliner at center, Kenny Pruss, of course, who we've been talking about, is going to be an important starter.
Miller plays basketball also.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, I believe he does.
Okay, he's going to kick field goals for...
All right, let's set the stage for you. It's 4th and 4 for East Brunswick. The ball is on their own 27. 2 minutes and 38 seconds to go in the 3rd period. They're down 19-7. Rotobrom taking a long time calling signals. Drops back, looking to throw. He's being rushed. He's going to be taken down at his Stevens 40.
I tell you,
just took too long.
Dwayne Bryan is playing a super game. You remember he scored the touchdown on the block punt. Coach Simonelli says he's the only kid on the team that he's also coached his father. Coach Simonelli was the coach of his father, Caesar, when he ran track quite a few years ago.
How'd you get that out of Tony, Phil?
Well, he did a lot of talking that day.
All right, so...
You know, Bryant's a junior also.
Stevens takes over. The ball on their own 37-yard line, 1st and 10. It's a pitch to Booth, who almost lost it. Dawson with a fine defensive play, and Booth is going to take a loss.
Well, the Stevens fans are not too happy about the aggressive tackling right there, but I don't think their viewpoint was too good right there.
Here's that kid Dawson you've been talking about.
We're down to 1 minute and 45 seconds here in the 3rd period. East Brunswick trailing 19-7. I would think that Stevens is not going to put the ball up in the air unless they really have to.
Watch him throw on this play, John.
No, it's George Booth off the right side. And Booth is going to be hit hard.
Fortunately, no flag for East Brunswick there. See Rushnick walking off the field. Apparently he was injured on that play.
We have an official timeout. You're right, Jimmy. Bob
Let me tell you,
been hobbling off.
If they lose Rusnak, they're losing a very valuable ingredient. About 4 weeks ago, Gene Haley, I asked him what was the best performance he has seen this year, and he said that was of Bob Rusnak against J.P. Stevens the first time they played him. He thought he was the best player he has seen up until this point. That point, anyway.
All right, Booth lost 2 yards on the play. It's 3rd and 12 for Stevens. 40 seconds to go in the third period. And Thomas is going to put it up, surprisingly. He's looking for Fromm. The ball's incomplete.
Incidental contact. The J.P. Stevens fans are howling for interference. And I tell you, they might have a point there. There was some bumping, but it as they say now, it might have been incidental contact.
All right, that
they
brings
both were going for the ball.
4th and 12 for Stevens. Fast third period. Theodoro is back to punt. East Brunswick has Bestowski and Pruss back deep.
Oh, good effort.
Gets the kick off. A line drive to Bestowski, fielded at his 35. He'll be dropped at about the 39.
That was Rick Oken that almost got in there to block that kick, and of course it was fielded by Bestowski.
So East Brunswick takes over. 26 seconds left here in the third period. They're down 19-7. And we'll see if they come out with anything different or try to open it up a little bit.
It'll be extremely difficult to throw on Stevens now. They can expect pass, and they've got good defenders back there with Booth and Weinblatt.
All right, Rodelbrom rolls right, sliding in the backfield. He's having a little time. He throws it long, looking for Rushnak it was. Ball over his head.
All right, that was dangerously close to being thrown over the line of scrimmage, but Mark was just able to get it off. I thought he was going to take off with that, Phil.
Another good effort by him. This is something I haven't seen before. I like it.
Well, my understanding is that Mark Rodelbron will be considered for some sort of college team. I'm not sure where, but a number of schools have shown some interest in him. Of course, a number of players on East Brunswick are considered blue chip. Greg Zambrovitz and Rushnak being 2 of the main seniors.
Of course.
2nd and 10, 8 seconds to go in the third period. Ball's on the East Brunswick 40. Rodelbrom looking to pass. He's got Bestowski in the left flat.
He's got some room to run here.
He's got some room if he gets to the outside and up, and he does, and he's close to the 40-yard lines of J.P. Stevens, and that's it for the third period.
And that was a well-designed play with Bestowski. Was it Bestowski that ran on that play, John?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, okay, and of course a lot of effort was on his own after the play, but good play calling on the part of East Brunswick.
That's it for the third period. As I said, East Brunswick trails 19-7 as the teams switch sides.
And if East Brunswick can push across a score here, certainly they are not out of this game.
This drive is critical. The ball is going to be spotted at the Stevens 39, and Marcus Borden is out with his offensive team.
Also, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
No, while we have a time, I would have thought we would have saw that play earlier on in the game, or that type of play. The little swing passes, looking for Rushnak, as Phil had said, in the middle. Mueller was open at one time, and we'll see if they come back to that.
Yeah, okay. I think, well, we don't have enough time to talk about it, but I think because Stevens is throwing a little looser defense, that gives East Brunswick the opportunities.
Okay, it's 1st and 10 for East Brunswick as we start the fourth quarter, and we have a procedure call. It'll be against East Brunswick. And certainly you don't want to start off this way.
Dave Novak, I believe, might have moved a little prematurely.
It's quite a headsy play by Stevens right there. You know, they recognized the jump and, just stepped off in the area, and caused the 5-yard penalty.
Okay, the 5-yard penalty brings the ball back to the Stevens 44-yard line. It'll be 1st and 15 now for East Brunswick. We've just started the 4th period. Rodelbrom trying a inside reverse to Zambrovitz, who was apparently lined up as the tight end.
Sort of a counterplay that Stevens smelled out very quickly.
It was a mini refrigerator play, I guess you want to call it that. But Stevens reacted to it very well.
Needless to say, East Brunswick's going backwards here. It's now 2nd and 17. And the ball has been marked at the 47.
I'd look for Rushnick here.
Rodelbrom rolls right. He's got some time, looking for a receiver. He's thrown it down. It looked like he was going for Dave Brown. The ball was way over his head. So it's 3rd and 18.
He was leveled by Dwayne Bryan again.
Phil, we lost the sun, and it's starting to get a little dark around the field. Do you think that's a factor at all?
Nope.
Okay.
Not at all.
There are lights here at Edison.
I'm a little colder, Jimmy, if that means anything.
All right, a big play for East Brunswick in this game. 3rd and 18. They trail 19-7. Rodelbrom drops, looks down for Wernberg. Oh, Andy was open. The ball was slightly overthrown.
And that had touchdown written all over it, because if Wernberg were able to haul that in, he really had the whole field of play ahead of him.
Rodelbrom really put something on it, and it went right off the fingertips of Andy.
All right, East Brunswick will punt. And Stevens will get the ball back. 11 minutes and 13 seconds to go here in the 4th period. Forte tries to wedge it in, if you will. The ball hits around the 18.
Good job by Bryan.
Good kick under the circumstances. And the ball's whistled dead at about the 17-yard line of Stevens.
Well, I think, gentlemen, that East Brunswick is going to have to at least try to get some sort of turnover here, because they are down by 2 touchdowns, and clock is running with less than 11 minutes to go. Stevens has the ball.
Well, Jim, we go back to that first half where East Brunswick, through 2 turnovers, was deep in Stevens' territory, and were unable to capitalize on it. Anyway, it's 1st and 10 for Stevens. It's Booth, right side, cuts back, cuts across the 20, and is hit hard by Mike Bestowski.
I see I see Ronnie Grubb still limping around by the bench. So it looks like he tried to get back in, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it.
I have to believe that he's hurting. If not, he'd probably be back in there because, like I said, this is his last high school game.
And he is a good linebacker also.
All right, Booth picked up 7. It's 2nd and 3. The ball at the 20 for Stevens. Booth once again slips a little bit, and he'll pick up maybe a yard or 2.
No harm, no foul. 2 good ball players,
right.
George Booth and Bob Rusnak.
Clock is running, and that's a concern now for East Brunswick. Brings up a 3rd and about, let's call it 2 for Stevens. They're in command here, 19-7. All right, Thomas brings them out. George Booth, left side. It looks like he's got enough for the first. We'll see where they mark it.
He certainly does. His momentum, especially on the last tackle, is able to push him over, and that's a big first down for Stevens now.
We're down to 8 minutes and 57 seconds here to go in the game. JP Stevens on top, 19-7.
Ron Grubb's going in the game at this time. He's going in limping, but nevertheless he's going in. I guess he figures it's my last high school game and I want to be out on the field.
1st and 10 for Stevens. Ball at their own 25. Thomas on a quarterback keep. Goes up the middle for about 4 yards.
I'll tell you, John, a smart move on Grubb's part. He left too soon, so he just pretended that he went into motion, stopped, got set again, and they ran the play. Otherwise, they would have called him for illegal motion.
Well, Thomas picks up 5. It'll be 2nd and 5. The clock is running. We're down to under 8 minutes now. Thomas hands off to Grubbs, and Grubbs limps over the line and rolls down across the 35. 3rd down.
Very important for East Brunswick to maintain its poise here. You know, they got an uphill battle undoubtedly, but
let's call it 3rd and 3. The ball is spotted at the 33-yard line of Stevens.
Well, East Brunswick certainly could use a turnover here. Grubbs limps back out of the game. And a flag for a delay of game, I believe.
that's precisely the call.
Right, Phil. It is a delay. That'll move the ball 5 yards back. Bring up a 3rd and about 12 now for Stevens.
Tell you what, if you're going to have a delay of game call, that wasn't the optimum time. You only had 3rd and short yardage, and now you're backed up 5 yards. And you know, if East Brunswick can hold here, they're certainly going to get the ball back.
I don't think it was intentional, Jim. Grubbs ran off the field late, and by the time they got a replacement in, the clock had expired. Okay, Thomas looking to pass. He's down the middle. Goldstein, 1st down. That may have broken East Brunswick's back right there. Thomas to Goldstein, 1st down.
I'll tell you, Thomas just laid the ball in there. He doesn't do a whole lot of, if you check his statistics, he doesn't have a lot of statistics and whatnot. He just wins for them. He's taken them to 3 championships, and he's won 1 and seems to be on the verge to winning them another one.
1st and 10, the ball is at the Stevens 42-yard line. They're in command. Not only on the scoreboard, but they have the clock in their favor. There goes Booth, slipping and sliding, and still picking up. He drops the ball! But I think he got it back. Let's see. It was. Booth got the ball back. He's already fumbled twice this afternoon.
I thought that was going to be the turnover I was talking about.
While we have a moment, I'd like to thank the athletic department at East Brunswick High School for allowing us to bring you this coverage this year. More importantly, I'd like to thank our staff at Channel 8. In a minute, I'll get to those individuals. This is Booth off the right side. In particular, Pete Canamessa and Dave Ambrosi, who have been with us throughout the season and who have provided the excellent coverage that you're seeing on your screen. And I'd like to thank both Jimmy and Phil for joining me and making it an interesting season. This is not to say that I'm giving up on the game. But generally, we run out of time at the end.
That's correct, John. You know, East Brunswick's freshman team had a really great season, and there are going to be people that are definitely going to be contributing to the varsity next year. East Brunswick really has a lot to look forward to in the upcoming years.
Okay, 3rd and 4 for Stevens. The ball is at their own 48. We have 5 minutes to go in the game. Stevens on top, 19-7. Thomas is going to throw. He's got plenty of time. He's got Fromm all by himself out there and just can't catch up to it. A little bit too far, Phil.
Good coverage on it, but who expected them to throw?
Well, you know, let's just put it on the line here. Stevens has really been doing just calling the right plays at the right time. On that Goldstein touchdown, admittedly they caught East Brunswick by surprise.
We have an injured player down there on the field. I can't get his number at this time. They're hovering over him.
It's a Stevens player.
Jimmy, to amplify on some of the things that you were saying, you're talking about the fact that East Brunswick has a great freshman team, young people like Joey DeVito and Mark Harmon, certainly people I've watched play up through Pop Warner. And I understand they got a line that averages about 200 pounds.
That's my understanding. The line averages more than the varsity this year. Boy, it's really going to be something to see. Of course, you got Brian Forte, who is the Borden said he is my second-string quarterback this year. And just playing on the varsity, kicking, has to give him an advantage.
Definitely so.
And let me say one other thing, in case anybody's wondering. The East Brunswick freshman did beat the J.P. Stevens freshman this year. So, I don't know if that means anything.
Okay, it's 4th down for Stevens, 4th and 4. The ball is at their own 48, and we're all anticipating a punt. And yes, Stevens will punt. East Brunswick has Pruss and Postowski back again. 5 minutes to go in the game. Here's the snap. Punts away. And it's going to go out of bounds around the East Brunswick 30-yard line.
John and Phil, I wanted to say something about Marcus Borden, the coach. We've just concluded picking our All-Sentinel All-Star team, and Marcus wins our Coach of the Year award, second consecutive year, and that may not be surprising based on the fact that they have the best record in our area of coverage, but I think a lot of people agree that the job that he has done this year is maybe even more outstanding than they did last year when they finished 10-1 and won the Red Division, the Middlesex County Athletic Conference title.
I tend to agree with you, Jimmy, there.
All right, East Brunswick has the ball. 1st and 10 on their own 30. They have 4 minutes and 55 seconds to go. Rodelbaum passes outside to Postowski, or Pruss rather. Pruss will step out of bounds at about the 27.
You know, Pruss's younger brother, Kenny, left from Weston, Connecticut, and went down to Maryland and made the team as a walk-on. Bobby Ross's team as a walk-on. So it tells you something about those Pruss kids. They're just tough ball players.
All right, Pruss picks up 5. It'll be 2nd and 5 for East Brunswick. They've got to move down the field quickly. They need 2 scores to win. Rodelbaum looks to pass. Is hit as he's throwing the ball, and it falls incomplete.
Of course, the Stevens crowd now is in a very festive mood here. The band is starting to play, and of course, some of the crowd is starting to leave. And this is going to give Stevens, again, its second consecutive Central Jersey Group 4 title, finishing with an 11-0 record, and a lot of people in this state think that Stevens might be just the best team in the state.
I'm sure the people at Union will have something to say about that.
Yes, correct.
Anyway, Rodelbaum looking to throw, pumps. He's going to be dropped for a loss at his own 30. Mark has had a tough day back there.
Well, most of the times he's been in a situation when you know he has the pass and the pressure just comes on him. Also, Stevens just has a good defensive team when it comes to pressuring.
4th and 10, 4th and about. No, it's 4th and 10, I'm sorry. Couldn't see the yard markers. 4th and 10, 4:15 left in the game. East Brunswick has to punt. Forte is in. Nice punt by Forte. Booth is back there. He feels it at his own 38. Gets by one tackler. And Booth is taken down close to his own 45.
Takes a lot of hit on that small frame.
Yes, he does. Do you think he's a Division I prospect?
I think he can play. I think you look at Troy Stratford for Boston College. Not much bigger than this fellow, and I think George Booth can play. Maybe Rutgers. His coach, Tony Simonelli, was on the undefeated 1961 team for Rutgers, so who knows?
Well, we all like to see a lot of people from this area go to Rutgers.
Stevens will have it 1st and 10 on their own 44. They have a full house backfield. A broken play. Thomas kept the ball and smartly just held on to it. He'll be dropped for about a 4-yard loss. We're down to 3:21 left. Jimmy, just to pick up on what you said about Marcus Borden, no one really knew what this team was going to be like this year. The brick game was a major surprise to all of us, a pleasant surprise. And to think that going into Colonia they were 8-1, I've got to say it was something that I don't think anyone had thought about.
That's the point that I wanted to amplify too.
I think Jimmy had said that Coach Borden had done a better job this year. He definitely did. He lost a lot of talent. He lost Derek Rowe. He lost Hughes. A lot of individual talent was there that was lost last year, and he's managed to bring them back to the finals of the championship again. Jimmy, speaking about Hughes, you were talking to him last week. What's his status up at Pittsburgh now that they've switched coaches?
Well, I did ask him about the possibility of what his plans would be if when Pitt brings in a new coach, because very often when a coach comes in that's new, he likes to import his own players, so to speak, or recruiting. And Steve was recruited by Folk Fazio, and he says despite what happens, he's going to be staying there, and it's a real good example of where his priorities are.
Smart young man.
All right, we have 3:16 to go in the game. Stevens facing a 2nd and 14. They lead 19-7. Thomas to Booth. Quite honestly, I'm getting tired of calling that.
This is the third time that we've televised a Stevens game?
Yeah.
Interesting that we said up front that they'd have to stop the big play from George Booth. And East Brunswick has been successful in doing that, but they see themselves down 19-7.
Jimmy, we had a flag dropped, and I think it's a unsportsmanlike conduct call. It is, and I think they're going to...
Yeah, is that Zambrovitz?
No, I don't know if it's Zambrovitz or Pruss. They're waving one of the players off the field. Now Borden is discussing this with the official.
You hate to see this because they had such a great rivalry. I can't see the number on it. Can you see the number?
I think it was Ken Pruss.
That's Kenny Pruss.
And I'm surprised because Ken Pruss is a swell young man.
Must have been something that he said.
It was well after the play had been completed. And it's emotion.
Yeah, well, he'll be back next year and have his opportunity. Here's a flag.
Well, I think that's been called on Harry Morris, who is the line coach for East Brunswick.
You don't like to see this. East Brunswick has always prided themselves on being a class organization. There's really no call for this. I would like to think someone will take control over there on the sidelines so that we don't see any more of this kind of behavior. We're talking about young people out on the field. These coaches are role models for these people. It was a well-played game, a well-fought game. East Brunswick certainly does not have to hang their heads in embarrassment.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you
this just takes away from the game.
I'll tell you this here. It's just a little frustration. I know Harry Morrison, he's a fine fella. I remember the picture of him last year walking off the field with Derek Rowe with his arms around him. And he's a class guy. He's just probably lost his cool a little bit, and it is frustrating. You hear it in the championship finals again, but East Brunswick has nothing to be ashamed of.
All right, we're down to 2:43 with the penalties. It gives Stevens a first down on the East Brunswick 39. Thomas to Booth once again. Booth has some running room. He's tripped up from behind, but he's inside the 25-yard line.
And I guess this is all kind of academic right now.
Well, it's not academic to J.B. Stevens because they did the same thing against Colonia when everyone thought the game should be over and just let it run out. Booth took off and ran for a touchdown, so he wants more.
That's a good observation, Phil.
Clock is running. We're down to 2:16. The ball is on the East Brunswick 24. First and 10 for J.P. Stevens. Thomas to Booth. Off left tackle, Booth breaks away. Down to the 15-yard line.
Well, now you're seeing the real George Booth and how he can operate. John, we're obviously filling in some time here with some other observations. I just want to remind fans that the East Brunswick wrestling team with Greg DeMarco and Jimmy Young at the helm coaching will be beginning its season also, and that's another fine group. So we all encourage the fans to get out there and support the East Brunswick winter sports teams.
We're down to 1:25. 2nd and 2 for Stevens. Ball on the 17-yard line of East Brunswick. It's a pitch to Booth, right side. Booth slipping and sliding, picks up maybe a yard. Clock's still running.
So we have under a minute here.
You know, it's as the season winds down, there's so many guys that have done it for East Brunswick. We don't always mention their names. You got the Bill Brunegs and the Keith Pileckis and Rich DeMarias and players that have been integral parts of the team that have been doing it all year for them. And they've done a fine job. They really have.
We're down to 34 seconds. The Stevens crowd obviously happy and celebrating. We got a flag. Booth is going to score. There is a flag down. We'll see what it is.
I think it's going to go against Stevens, John. Well, what is that call? Is that it's a clip, okay. So that's going to bring it back. Crowd, of course, is very unhappy about that. Would love to see a score just a little bit more than what the margin is now, 19-7. But the fact remains that Stevens is Central Jersey Group 4 champions.
We must congratulate JP Stevens. They played an outstanding game. They're an outstanding team.
They've been an outstanding program for quite a long time. Tony Simonelli took over 3 years ago from the great coach Joe Gostowski, who was probably the best coach ever in this conference, and he's done a fine job himself.
That's quite a statement, Phil.
3rd and 17 for Stevens.
Who's going to argue with
a motion?
Who's going to argue with Joe Gostowski's record?
I just thought it was a great observation on your part.
That's my personal view.
I'll let you guys argue that one out. We have an offsides call against Stevens. That'll move the ball back. Again, it's academic. 26 seconds left. Stevens leads 19-7. Quite honestly, Jim and Phil, I look forward to next year's high school season with East Brunswick.
I certainly do too. It's really going to be something to watch this team play.
Thomas will go down to 1-8.
He finally falls down. I think their visions of scoring again, they've sort of revised that plan.
We're down to 14 seconds.
Hey, John, let me just say something. I enjoyed working with you this year. I think you've done an excellent job all on the plays. You know, we really don't have a lot of technical assistance up here, and I think you've done a magnificent job.
Thank you very much, Steve.
I concur.
Thank you, Phil.
Well, there we are.
A nice display of sportsmanship is going on now in the center of the field, and that's what it's all about. For many of these players, this will be their last high school game ever, and I'm glad to see this kind of ceremony, if you will, at the center of the field. Gentlemen, what can you say? It was an exciting game. The first half, back and forth. East Brunswick had some opportunities, was not able to cash in on them, if you will. Stevens came out the second half, did what they wanted to do. East Brunswick could never get itself on track. 19-7 the final score. Again, East Brunswick, I don't think, has anything to be ashamed about. They're a team that's growing, they're a program that's growing, and they should be back.
John, I think you said it all. Again, a team that's going to be back and overachieve this year, if you will. You know, just coming through with an 8-3 record, as the final record will be. And a lot of good promise. There will be some people coming back, like Kenny Pruss. He's probably the main cog, and a lot of people are able to get experience this year, and I'm excited already about next season.
Phil?
I'll tell you, all it comes down to is perspective. East Brunswick is again in for the second year in a row in the championship game.
Right.
They program is what comes to mind to me. They have established a program. They've always had it in gymnastics, wrestling, track, soccer, and now in football. When you speak of East Brunswick, they have a real program. Marcus Borden has done a fine job, and he's to be congratulated.
Yes, the whole staff, the whole coaching staff. Well, that's it from Edison High School. The final score again is JP Stevens 19, East Brunswick 7. Stevens is the newly crowned 1985 Central Jersey Group 4 state champions. On behalf of Jimmy Allinder and Phil Hill, I want to thank all of you for being with us this fall high school sports season. We hope to see you again next year.